Because unfortunately in our age, like we're just not taught, okay, like how do you overcome social anxiety? In fact, we're kind of pushed to fear going out in the social world. We're kind of like told like you shouldn't be social. We're kind of told that you should just sit in your place and you should just drink your milk in your cardboard fucking box with the plastic straw. We're not really told to actually do shit that actually like serves our social life, but more so we're told to just be like introverted, not talk to people. It's too dangerous. You could like someone could jail you and whatever. And we're told that people around us are evil and they're bad people and whatever. But truth be told, when you actually go out in the world, you realize that most of the bullshit you've been fed is just bullshit. It's not actually true. And I think people are just fed this idea that we shouldn't be social and we should just like resort to sitting alone and stuff, and we should all like sit alone and we don't need people and this type of stuff, when in reality that like the human animal is a social animal. We're supposed to be like social. And of course, I mean, these days, if you've seen anything of my videos, you'd know that I've became much better at social interaction. And these days, I'm the type of guy that would go up to random people in the gym and just start shaking their hands. I'm the type of guy that would go up to random people in school and start shaking in their hands. If a new teacher shows up, I'm the type of guy that greets him at the door. Like I'm a very socially active person. But throughout my life, I've suffered a lot to be able to get to this place. And I get a lot of people telling me like, how did you overcome social anxiety? How are you so social? Like you used to be like like bullied just because you were like not so social and you were just introverted. And so how did you get rid of that problem? That's why I really made this full guide. Just kind of like distill upon you what I've learned throughout my journey in this. I mean, really, like when we try and find some kind of social role model, it's very hard to find such people, because the truth like is just people don't want this anymore. We've been fed the idea that we shouldn't be social, and that's not exactly something that serves our own mind and our own bodies, because our mental health, like one of the pillars of mental health, is social interaction. When you don't got good mental health, you're suicidal and you hate your life. And I think people don't really understand that they need this like anybody else. They need social interaction. People try and avoid social interaction because it's uncomfortable, because it's not easy. Of course, we need to understand that we need to be socializers, because the human animal was a socializer. And you might tell me, okay, what the fuck's a socializer? Well, a socializer is simply a creature that simply seeks social interaction for the sake of it. So when you look at a cat or a dog or any kind of pet, most pets, they will seek social interaction, whether that be with their own kind or with like humans. They will seek social interaction just for the sake of it. So when a dog comes at you and he's like huffing and he's all cute, well, he doesn't want nothing from you. He just wants social interaction for the sake of it. And so I think like this is mentioned in a lot of different books about friendships and about social skills. We need to become the socializer prototype to really overcome such a problem. And this is a full guide on how to be that person. But of course, this isn't easy. We have to reframe a lot of different beliefs we've been fed throughout our lives. We have to reframe a whole bunch of limiting beliefs that we have to overcome to be able to really reach this point. Of course, we have to sacrifice a lot of comfort. We have to certainly go out of our comfort zones to be able to actually achieve something like this. Because you're not going to be comfortable when you're taking the pizza from that waitress. You're not going to be comfortable doing all these different things. And so, really, I mean, when you really think about anything, how do you get to actually be better at something? You just practice it more and more. Like that's the fundamental in life. How do you get better at business? You just do business more and you become better at business. How do you become better at bodybuilding? You do bodybuilding more and you become good at bodybuilding. Well, what about social interaction? You do social interaction more and you become good at social interaction. That's the key for life. And of course, this isn't exactly going to be comfortable, but that's exactly what it takes. So before we jump into the actual content, I kind of just want to go through mindsets. You see, I say this in most all full guides. Simple truth is, if you got the right mindset about anything, you can reach such a point way faster and way better and more effectively than if you didn't have the right mindset. And so I kind of just want to distill upon you some good mindsets that I've found throughout the way. So for the next mindset, it's just about realizing that nobody is better than you. Like this like person you put on a pedestal doesn't exactly deserve it, because he's not better than you. This, like, all these influencers you watch, they're not better than you. They're only better than you in one certain circumstance, in one area of life. Like, I'll just give you this example. You probably are more religious than this influencer that you're watching. This influencer who's like getting all these Bugattis and all these things. You're more religious than that person. And so in a weird way, you're better than him. Nobody's better than you. He's better than you in finance, yeah. And you should learn from him in finance, yeah. But realize that you shouldn't be placing people on pedestals. See, like, I see this a lot. People are placing like others on pedestals and they're like, oh wow, you're so amazing, wow. And it's like, they don't deserve the pedestal you placed them on. You learn from them, but you don't place people on pedestals and you're just like, oh wow, you're so amazing. You know? And of course, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be learning from anyone. That doesn't mean that you should be like, oh yeah, I know everything, whatever. No, you don't know everything, of course. You have a lot of shit areas. You're financially, like, you're not financially free. You're pretty, like, shit situation. Okay, then you should be learning from millionaires. But that doesn't mean the millionaire has a better health than you. It doesn't mean that he's better as a whole. You need to be more specific with things. Yeah, he's better than me financially, and I'm learning from him financial advice because he's a multi-millionaire. But he eats dessert every night, and so it's not exactly like something that I would be doing. I just kind of want to learn the business stuff from this guy because he's absolutely awesome. And I'll still keep my health shit the same, knowing that he's better than me, of course, in business, but I'm better than him in a lot of different other things. And so he's not exactly on a pedestal. He is still an awesome dude, but he's not on a pedestal. He's just like me. He's a lifelong student, exactly like me. We're learning different shit. He's learning from me how to become more healthy. I'm learning from him how to become more financially free. So this one is pretty interesting. You are no longer in high school. So for a lot of us, we are still in high school. I'm still in high school. You probably still are in high school. But I think this mindset kind of is an eye-opener to realize that people will not treat you the same way outside of high school. People in high school, they're just children. I consider people in high school to honestly just be Down syndrome kids. Like, no offense to them, but they're very close to mentally disabled. And so, in my opinion, they're not exactly going to treat you the same way as actual, like, other people in the real world. In the real world, people will treat you like how they treat others in the real world. So you have to have two different personas. The first persona being, oh yeah, I'm the high school student that has to deal with the mentally disabled people around me. And then the actual real you who goes out into the real world because no one gives a fuck. And it's like, I think having those two personas is really what distincts you from all the other people in high school, because they're just being the little children. They're being the cute fucking nerds, when in reality, they should be going out in the world in their own, like, masculine edge. And the main reason I didn't tell you to go to school as you are is because they're Down syndrome kids. If they see that you look, like, better than them, they'll just make fun of you. They'll be crabs. They'll try to pull you down in the bucket. And so it wouldn't exactly be, like, a smart idea to show who you really are, because who you really are is actually 100 times better than all those other idiots. So really, like, what I'm trying to say here is focus on the good stuff. Focus on actually, like, not just like giving a fuck on these people, kind of hiding behind a mask and just being like, oh yeah, I'm like all of you guys. You're all mentally disabled. Oh yeah, I'm mentally disabled exactly like you guys. I'll laugh off at your jokes. But in reality, you're actually not. And in the reality, when you go into the real world, you're actually treated like as you should be treated. And even if, like, you seemed all buff and all fucking weird and you were just an arrogant bastard, people will still treat you just like the same way as you weren't. In fact, they actually treat you better because you have self-confidence and you have self-respect. And finally, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So this is an amazing mindset. It simply tells you that you shouldn't fear failure. A lot of people, when they're cold approaching, like, people, they're just like, oh man, like, what if I fail? What if I do this? What if I do that? I found this mindset to really help with that. Because what you will tell yourself is, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. When we reach that bridge that seems all edgy and we'll probably die on there, then we'll come to it and we'll have to find other ways to do that. But till we reach that, we're not exactly gonna have to worry about that. We're just gonna have to go towards that way. And so we shouldn't be fearing failure. We shouldn't be fearing the future and what the future may hold for us. We just do what we have to today and see what the future will give us. And so whenever you're feeling all anxious and like you don't know what the fuck to do, just remember, you'll cross that bridge when you come to it. When you come to that bridge, you'll cross it. And chances are, you probably won't even reach that bridge. You'll reach a much better place than that bridge. I kind of just want to tell you about social influences. Bad social influences and good social influences. So let's just jump into the bad social influences. Well, you see, most of the bad social influences really just come from dopamine. And like you could just go and research dopamine. Just think of dopamine as the pleasure like hormone. And really what you kind of want to think of dopamine is you don't exactly want to demonize it and say like dopamine is really bad and stuff like that. And because dopamine makes our lives. It makes you like this and hate that. It makes you learn, but dopamine, when you are getting all these peaks, and like really it's just dopamine is just peaks, really. You're just getting a whole bunch of high like peaks and low troughs. And really by each peak you get a lower trough, which means like a trough just basically like peak gets increased, trough gets decreased. And really like what I kind of just want to point you toward is we don't want to be getting too much peaks, because when you get a peak you're overflowing the pool, which means you're going to in turn lose a whole bunch of the water. But it's not just going to be losing the excess water, it's going to be losing a whole lot of the actual water you wanted. And so by water I really refer to dopamine, but I kind of just want to give you some examples of dopamine activities that are fucking us over. Of course, like anything that has to do with dopamine should really just include the basics, from social media to video games to all these, because the simple truth is video games have affected you in a very negative way socially. Like, let's just be honest. You playing Minecraft, just sat there and you're just playing. You could tell me, oh yeah, I'm being social and I'm talking to these people. You're not being social. You're sat in your room like a retarded idiot with your belly fat just leaking out of your clothes, and you're just playing that fucking video game. Video games have mentally disabled you into putting different beliefs in your head to make you think that, oh yeah, like if I just if I just talk to people, they'll respect me and they'll like me and whatever. How do you think you'll ever be respected if you're a piece of shit? Simple truth is, like, video games have fucked your mind up. They've fucked your beliefs. They've placed a lot of bullshit in your head. Same goes for movies and all the Netflix bullshit you've watched, from the Disney shit. Like, no wonder you get no women, because you're a piece of shit, because you've believed all these stories that are made by fucking idiots who never got women in their lives, and they're just making you some fucking Hollywood bullshit. And so really, what I kind of just want to point you toward is to realize that you've been brainwashed for your entire life. And that hasn't exactly paid you off, because that brainwashing was negative. It wasn't good. It didn't get you the results you want. In fact, it disabled you from getting those results. And so really, like, social media, when you're looking at all these influencers and all this bullshit, when you're watching all these video games and just playing these video games, when you're watching all that Netflix, these aren't exactly great for you. They aren't exactly pushing you toward a better end. And so they are very negative social influences on you. Then you've also got people. There's a lot of negative influences, negative social influences that are fucking you over. From toxic friends, could be just simply relatives or teachers. All these people are fucking you up. They are basically placing onto you beliefs you didn't originally want. And I really need you to understand this. I was just reading that in Mastery a couple of days ago, like the book Mastery by Robert Greene. And I just came up to my best friend and I was like, bro, like, this is some fucked up shit, bro. Like, we're basically just being manipulated to think this and that, and we don't even agree with that. We've just been told, oh yeah, believe that and believe this. It's like, it is some fucked up shit. And you need to genuinely, like, you need to wake up and consciously activate your brain to be like, fuck this shit. No, I don't agree with this. I agree with that, but I don't agree with this. And really just building what you authentically believe. So you will have a lot of toxic friends. Like if you're watching a video like this, if your friends would see you watching this video, would they compliment you and tell you, "Oh yeah, this is like really awesome," or would they just laugh at you? Because my old toxic friends, they certainly laughed at me when I told them about, oh yeah, like Andrew Tate shit, and like the fucking, they laughed at me. They didn't exactly agree with me. And so a great actionable step for you to do is just to actually test it. Just go to your best friends and, like, as you call them, your friend group, your amazing friends. Actually just go up to them and tell them what you like. Tell them that you were watching a self-improvement video. See what they'll tell you. Because chances are they won't accept this shit. They'll laugh at you. They'll make fun of you. They'll tell you, oh, you're trying to improve and whatever. And that's how you know that they're not real friends. They're not like... It's like Chris Williamson said this in one of his podcasts. He was like, if you don't enjoy hanging around with your friends when they're not drunk, they're not exactly your friends. And it's like, it's the exact same thing, but it's like you don't even enjoy them. Like, it's like, they don't have to be drunk because you don't enjoy them at all. The same goes for relatives. You might have the closest of relatives. Guess what? If they like don't actually resonate with you, they're bullshit. You shouldn't be like hanging around with them. Of course, teachers as well. For a long time, I hanged around a teacher, and he was like this fat ass, and he was like, I thought he was like a really like experienced person, whatever. And I just hung around with him. And I used to like tell him, oh yeah, like what should I do with this? And he would like tell me, oh yeah, like start posting to TikTok and whatever. And like he's just telling me all these random bullshit. And then I realized, what does he actually want? Well, he just wants someone to give him the status and validation, and also he just wants to seem like the teacher and whatever. Does he have what I want? Nah, he doesn't. Okay, then why should I listen to him? And when I realized that, I was like, fuck you, I'm not hanging around with you. And I stopped asking him for shit. I stopped hanging around with him. I stopped doing shit. And the simple truth is, I don't give a fuck. I'm the type of guy that will just fucking do whatever the shit he wants. If you don't resonate with me, if you don't give me some kind of value, I won't hang around with you. And that's just the simple truth. And of course, be wary from your parents' criticism, because as soon as your parents start to see you accelerating and growing, they will condemn you. They will criticize you. They will tell you, what the fuck are you doing? And that's completely fine. Because the simple truth is, no one will accept that shit. No one will accept that shit till you find someone who is already on that path and who will accept that shit. Your parents don't hate you. They're not against you. They're with you. They just think that your path is wrong, and that's why they're trying to guide you. And of course, like, you can tell me, what about the friends? The friends don't agree with that shit. The friends, they just fucking hate you at that point. Because you're basically hurting their self-ego by telling them, oh yeah, like, I'm improving and you're pieces of shit. And of course, like, they won't exactly like that. So what's the solution with such toxic people? Absolute elimination. Never look at these people's faces again. Say goodbye and never come back. I'll make a morning chat on this. Just how to leave your toxic friends. And honestly, I think that's like a very valuable morning chat to be making. But I genuinely think like this is some shit that you just need to put your head into. If you're hanging around with friends that don't resonate with you, that are bullying you, have some fucking self-respect and just fucking leave those guys. And for parents, when their parents criticize you, you're simply going to have to deal with it till you prove them wrong. So your father's always going to tell you, oh yeah, you'll never reach 10K a month. Oh yeah, you think you'll actually make money online? And really, you have to understand that, yeah, like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that you're telling me this. I will make that. I will prove you wrong. And just simply sticking to the process to actually prove them wrong. Now, chances are you actually don't have a single good, maybe like you do, but chances are you probably don't have a single good social influence. I just kind of want to list off some good social influences. So, learn from podcasts. You see, like, I literally have a whole bunch of pictures, a whole bunch of podcasters and people that I learn from. They're, like, I consider them mentors, whether they know that I mentor them or not. I mentor them, I don't give a fuck. I'm learning every single word they say. And I deem them as my mentors or my teachers. And really, I watch a lot of podcasts, I read a lot of books, I'm just all over the place about these things. So you need to be building your own trusted mentors. I could be one of those. You could basically like mentor the same people I mentor. And so find your own trusted mentors. And again, I just need to say this. I made a full guide on learning, just literally how do you learn, and like learn full guide. I'll probably just show up somewhere there. And basically just it's a full guide on how to learn. And I think it's genuinely valuable. I tell you how to find mentors and all that type of stuff. Definitely check that out. We were just talking about this, but reclause is simply just like taking a step back from inputs from the internet, because your biggest constraint right now, the reason you're not successful, the reason you don't got shit, is because you're basically taking in inputs. You're just taking in inputs from fucking random roles and TikTok and whatever. You're taking inputs from a random place. And of course, learning's awesome. You need to be learning. Learn from actual valuable sources. Don't take inputs. Don't take too much inputs. Don't overload your brain. Learn, of course, learn and make that like the thing that consumes most of your day. However, never fully like just make a 100% learn or inputs, but rather actually have some kind of output zone. And what's an output zone? Well, take a walk, like you could just go outside right now for the next 10 minutes and just take a walk around the neighborhood. You could go like to a supermarket, like nearby. It's like, just do whatever you want. Just go like and discover the world. I talked about expeditions, I made like 2 morning chats on this. But expeditions are basically just like events that you go through in your life. They're like adventures that you put yourself through to improve yourself. And I think they are genuinely one of the best things you can be doing. And so go out and talk to strangers. Use this as your opportunity to just go out and do shit. And I think this is like one of the like biggest shit you can find. Of course, the first time you talk to a stranger, it won't exactly be comfortable. But at least you could say you cold approached someone. And truthfully, it's just awesome. And so get away from inputs, have some kind of output zone, do like mini expeditions throughout the day, and really try and just fully like push yourself into actually being in action mode. So let's actually just jump into the first part of this video, which is the interior part of being a socializer, changing all that inside things that you lack, you quite frankly lack. You don't have these things because of course social conditioning, like I honestly, I don't blame you, because all those fucking like school, the fucking role models, the fucking movies, the Disney fucking shit. It's like, yeah, of course you're gonna be a bitch. I used to be a bitch. But it's really understanding that you're a bitch and wanting to improve is really just a key fundamental step here. So the first part of the interior struggles you may face is social skills. Of course, like you never went out in the world, and so how do you think you're gonna have good social skills when you haven't done nothing, you haven't like reached out to other people, you haven't done shit? Simple truth is, you need to be working on this. There are a whole bunch of books that will help you on this. I made a full like 1 hour video just like summarizing the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Probably the best social skills book you can get your hands on. If you can read that book, honestly just read that book. If like you can't and you just have to wait, you can download it as a PDF and still like watch that full guide if you want to. I just think that like the reading of the book itself is much better. Of course, you can very much watch the full guide. Probably like will save you some time, but you really need to be taking some autistic like fucking notes on that full guide. But definitely, you need to work on your social skills. I mean, if you don't know what social skills are, it's just simply you knowing how to communicate. It's just social skills, communication. How do you communicate well? And it's really like most people lack this. I mean, the other day, like. I'll tell you this funny story. The other day, my father, we were basically just like sticking these weird ass like things on the walls, because the walls are basically like full of like mold and shit. And so basically, like my father was just like planning to stick some shit on the wall, but the wall was full of mold and we couldn't really stick that stuff well. And so he basically just wanted to like, I don't know, like fix some shit in the wall. And so he drilled way too like through the wall, and he ended up like reaching some place in there, and he ruined some shit in the house. Okay. And so basically, like he called the plunger guy, whatever, I don't know what the fuck like his name was, and he just like basically like just called that guy, and he was like, "Oh man, like we're ruining some shit here, and like we need to get that." But what was very interesting was the social skills between my mother and my father. Like when that happened, my mother was like just shouting at my father, blaming him that like he did that. And then my father was like just like blaming like like the wall and shit, and he was like how could I know and stuff like that. When in reality, if both of them read How to Influence and Influence People and implemented it, they probably would have saved each other a whole lot more time, a whole lot more effort. They probably wouldn't have felt so much pain and hurt, and they would have probably like resolved the problem much easier. And so really, like, I mean, this is just one example of where social like skills come into play. Truth be told, they come and play basically everything you're doing in your life that has to do with social interaction. So now for social power and dynamics. So I kind of just want to explain social power. So in the 48 Laws of Power, like Robert Greene talks about how each person in a room has a different aura. Like, you know how like in Dragon Ball, whatever anime you used to watch back then, there's like this character who has like this weird aura, and he has this like purple flame around him, you know, like that type of stuff. It basically states that each and every single person has like this aura of power, and they're like, for everyone it's basically just a hierarchy, like the top person, lower, 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 and it's basically just a hierarchy in each people's brain unconsciously, so you're not really conscious of who's the most powerful in this. Now of course, if you ask yourself that question, you'd probably know like who's like the strongest power, like in this room. You probably like know the answer to that. It's very unconscious process to really like, it's just ego shit, and it's like basically it's understanding that there like power does exist around us, like we do have these auras, and basically unconsciously we're like just looking around and we're just seeing, oh yeah, like can I compete with this person, can I beat them, oh yeah, then I should submit, then I should be like much easier. Like you're unconsciously having all these processes in your head, and it's really like just, it's insane like how society, all of it's like, it all runs on this invisible aura of like power and shit. And it's like that's what determines social dynamics. So social dynamics are just basically like you know, like mentor student, or like, you know, like stuff like that. And basically like social dynamics are, you know, like just dynamics, you know, they're just like, okay, like this person, like I'm probably much stronger than my friend, like that guy, you know. It's like that type of dynamic. And of course like power is in the air 24/7. Like it's almost like your brain smells like the power in the room. So like, you know how like it's like when you have such like high like level people and you like go into like a room where they're like a whole bunch of these high status people, it's like you're almost like just you're feeling a little like push on your chest, you're feeling the pressure, and it's like it feels weird, you feel like anxious and stuff like that, or like there are way too much people like all around and you just feel pressured. Well, that's because you're like, you smelled the power in like this room, and that's why, because you feel that like all these powers all around of this like weird dude who's like this and he's just jacked and he probably could like beat you, and then it's like you've got that little kid and like he relieves you because like, at least you can beat that kid. And really like like Robert Greene talks about how power cannot be escaped. Like no matter what you can say, like you can try and like not compete in the game and not really like learn power and shit, but you won't exactly succeed either, because power never disappears. It isn't about whether you play the game or not. It's about the fact that a game is ongoing whether you play it or not. And it's much better that you learn power and actually abuse it and become an amazing force at power than simply just, you know, like not learn it and say, oh yeah, like it's fine, I shouldn't be learning it and whatever. So that's why I think all of us need to be learning power. You'll probably tell me it's a very dark book and whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, like he's saying a lot of immoral stuff. At least for me, I don't agree with like the thing that you're like, people just keep arguing. They're like, oh yeah, like this is so immoral. He's saying all these wrong things. He explains it before he goes into the book. He basically just says, bro, like if you don't believe this shit, you're still like, they're still gonna exist. Some people will still use these like laws of power on you, and you'll get beat out. You'll get shit on. And so why not just learn these? And so that's why I think all of us need to be learning power, just like we learned social skills. We need to be also learning power. Like I literally, if you can see that stash of books, I don't think you can, but I've literally got like all Robert Greene books just right behind me right there, and there's like a full list of books, and I'm going through them. I'm reading all of them. Like I think Robert Greene is genuinely one of the authors that he just genuinely resonates with me, and like I think reading any Robert Greene book would probably help you here, but specifically read the 48 Laws of Power and the Laws of Human Nature. These two are like, they're big bangers, bro. Like I remember I was like reading that book, The Laws of Human Nature, and I was like reading it basically on a plane, and I was like going through chapter 8, I think. It was uncovering like your dark side. And I was brain dead. I was on self-improvement or anything. I was just like reading this book because I wanted to look cool. And I like you know, like how you would read, you just like just holding the book up so everyone can see that you're reading. Oh yeah, like I'm so smart, guys. And it's like I was just reading in the plane. And I was going through it and I was like, oh yeah, like yeah, Dark. Oh yeah. It's like I didn't even understand it, and so it's like you definitely need to have some kind of intelligence level to be able to understand it. There's certainly like some hard books to understand. Definitely place your mind onto them. If like you don't understand certain words and they're like purpose or empathy, then like you have to like basically search up these words. I mean, for me, I like back then I was brain dead. I didn't even know what empathy meant, and so I literally searched what does empathy mean, and I was like I just didn't know shit. So definitely like just check out those two books because they're wild. So now for psychology. See, simple truth is most people don't understand psychology. And that's the main problem, is that they don't understand the psychology of others around them. See, psychology is basically almost like, like the inner type of like at least how I like explain it to myself. It's just basically like it's almost this inner like, you trying to understand everything around you. It's almost like the core of social dynamics, like how social dynamics are. It's basically like the core of social dynamics. And like all the Robert Greene books would really help you learning psychology. But I kind of wanted to specifically talk about one like psychology topic that really caught my eye. And I still like I just genuinely think that this is one of the best things that you could just take into consideration. And it's the us versus them. I talk about like a lot about this on the channel, but basically this just simply is like the us versus them dynamic. What is it? It's basically that in the first 3 seconds of looking at someone, you will determine whether they're from us or they're them. And us is just us. We are like the guys. We are like the chumps. We are the good guys. And that like them, they are the bad guys. They're the evil guys. They're like the bullshit guys. And it's like this is so powerful because I mean I saw this dynamic more than once in action. I would just go to the gym casually and I'd go there and this new guy, he's like all buff and he's like he just looks scary and all that stuff and he's staring at you like this. And in a weird way you think of that guy as them. He didn't do shit. He's just standing there. And you think of him, oh yeah, he's them. He's really bad. He's evil. Like, bro, it's so insane. And then like as soon as you go up to him and you shake his hand, he's from us now. It's like it's just the dynamic. It's just something you can't really control. It's just how your brain is wired. And it's like it's so weird. But this like mini like eye opener for me really just fucking it was just an eye opener, bro. And so really like the us versus them tends to come in a lot of different shit in life. Like you could just be seeing a random person in the street and you're like, oh yeah, he's them, he's really evil. But really issue is most people just listen to the them and they're like, oh yeah, he's them, and they don't actually engage and alter that. So I mean for me, as soon as I realized consciously that oh yeah, like I said that guy's them, I immediately, like without thinking, I just get off like the machine's usually in the gym and I just go and shake his hand, this random person. I just be like, oh yeah, hello, how are you? That's it. It's like it's so simple. Like it's honestly insane. Like you would think, oh yeah, he's them, he's really evil. But in a weird way, if you just went up to him and you shook his hand, you'd realize he was actually from us. He wasn't them. He's fine. And it's like, this is just a dynamic to protect you against people who have higher power than you. But in a weird way, altering that and just simply deliberately choosing that, no, he is us, will actually change him into be us. And so this is the key fundamental here. As soon as you think of anyone who is from them, and like you need to be very mindful of this. If you like don't know how to be more mindful and actually realize this, just like do some meditation. I like made a whole morning chat on mindfulness meditation, probably like pop up somewhere here. But basically just full on like explained mindfulness meditation in like autistic steps. Definitely check it out. But you need to be conscious of exactly, okay, like this person I just thought of him as them. And immediately just go up and just change that. Because like I probably should have talked about this in the mindsets, but I'll just talk about it right now. It's basically just the I have no enemies mindset. Like this mindset I've had before self-improvement. I had it for self-improvement about a month. And I basically just because I watched this anime called like Vinland Saga, and I used to watch animes, right? But basically the anime talks about this guy who like gets hurt and shit. And then he basically like he loses his father and now he chases these guys and he has enemies and whatever. And then he realizes that oh yeah, like you shouldn't have enemies and stuff like that. And that's like the philosophy of his father and whatever. And then he basically like just doesn't have enemies. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to do shit. I think this mindset really like changed my whole perception of the world. And I think like bruh, it'll probably just appear somewhere right over there. I made a whole morning chat on it. Definitely check it out. It's like it's just one of those mindsets that truly just changes your whole perception of the world. So just watch that morning chat. I'll definitely explain to you I have no enemies, and definitely implement it yourself because it's wild. Now for mirror neurons. You see, in the book Mastery, I learned this from the book Mastery. Like Robert Greene basically talks about how your brain has this weird like neuron type, and it's called like neurons are basically it's like brain cells, and this brain cell type is basically called mirror neurons, and this like type of like neurons enables you to see something and mirror it and repeat it like yourself. And this was actually the main way like we learn as humans, and the main way we actually like get to like first learn language and talk, and second actually like learn how to walk and shit. Because our mirror neurons are able to place ourselves in that place and manage to see how you would walk and how you would talk, you can actually do that. And so like this is a very powerful thing. You see, in social dynamics, you like if you've watched the full guide about how to influence people, you probably would know that basically most of social like interaction needs to be from the other person's point of view. You need to like deliberately place yourself in the place of the person in front of you and say, okay, what would this person genuinely want? Like I'm making this business offer to this random person. What would this person want? What is his like biggest pain? You're always thinking from the other person's point of view. And so mirror neurons can actually like you can leverage mirror neurons to specifically place yourself on other people's places to see what does he want and giving him what he wants, so that now you're both satisfied. And so you should always, no matter what it is, doesn't have to be like a business contract or whatever, simply always place yourself in the other person's point of view. Even if you're having like a random conversation with like your mother or something, you're talking about like spirituality or whatever, just place yourself in her shoes. Like, would she be like agreeing with your like what you're saying? Okay, why? Like, what are her limiting beliefs? Like, you're convincing her to go on the carnivore diet. Okay, like why? Why does she like? Why would she think that carnivore diet is probably not that good? Okay, well, because all her life she's learned that vegetables are really good for you, and all her life she's learned all that stuff. Okay, then like it probably would be wise to show her some studies and show that okay, like there are actually plant toxins and stuff like that. And then now you're actually like showing okay, like you can probably like she can probably relate to you right now because you've broken her limiting beliefs. And so in a weird way, having the ability to like just see things from the other person's point of view, that's a whole chapter in that book, like that how to influence people. A whole chapter, just see things from the other person's point of view. If you can master this skill, oh man, you will be a killer in social skills. You simply need to have the ability to guess what's coming next on the chessboard. It's like what move are they more likely to do on the chessboard? Are they gonna like just move the bishop or something? What like try to always think of the next step coming and always see it through and like leverage it for learning. So now for the final part in interior, it's charisma. See, simple truth is like everyone, like as soon as you say the word charisma, everyone's eyes start opening up. Everyone's eyes are like, oh wow, like what the fuck, charisma? Oh yeah. And it's like, I think charisma is like one of those things that people are like, they make it such like a misty, weird, like just like, they just make it such a like a weird like mystical magical thing that like oh yeah like it's just this guy's very charismatic and stuff like that. It's like truth be told, you can develop charisma because charisma is a skill. It's not really like this mystical you're born with this type of thing. And so charisma is really just the us power. It's you being able to make people think of you as us. Like when you're like just thinking of shit and you're basically like looking at this person, if you can make that person in front of you, when they look at you, perceive you as us, you've got charisma because people will follow you if like you're making them see you as us. Now, of course, like this is a side rant, but people will still see you as them even if you have charisma. Like let's just give the biggest example of charisma. Like if you watched Berserk, you would know Griffith. Griffith is the guy who has like the biggest charisma in the world, and yet he still had a whole bunch of enemies. Why? Because charisma isn't really just the inviting part, but it's inviting specific people that resonate with you on the journey. And so like how would you master charisma? Well, charisma consists of three. It consists of warmth, power, and presence. So warmth is basically just how kind or like how like warm you seem to the other person, kind or whatever you want to call it. Just do you seem like a type of person that's an us? That's kind of like the main like thing about warmth. Are you like warm? The more warmer you are, the more charismatic you will appear. Power is how much value you provide to the table. And of course it does relate to the power dynamics, but it's more so just like how much like value do you provide to the table? Are you attractive? Are you like healthy? Are you very knowledgeable and wise? Are you like what do you bring to the table? What type of value do you like provide? And then finally presence, which is just simply how mindful you are. Now of course like most people aren't really mindful, and so it's like the mindfulness spectrum has kind of dropped down, which is why like you don't see much charismatic people. But really, like I think for like smaller groups of like just brain dead people, like basically like Down syndrome kids, it's like it's quite normal to not have mindfulness because most of them are just brain dead. But for whatever reason, when you have mindfulness, it's almost like this superpower above all other humans. So here are some tips to actually help you be charismatic almost instantly. So the first tip to be more charismatic instantly is simply just smile more. You see, the smile is the biggest indicator to anyone that you're an us, you're a friendly face. Like you've basically just you've smiled, and in a weird way, like you wouldn't smile to your enemy. That's a weird thing to just smile to your enemy. You would smile to a friend, yes, which is exactly what like the smile means. What does a smile mean? It's the us indicator. It's like the green flag for yes, I'm an us. So like just we can talk. Also, don't be scared of other people. Like I know social anxiety is something that does exist, but you just gotta face it. Like people aren't scary. Like this person that you wanna like just talk to, they'll die in the next like 100 years. Like by the next 100 years, they'll be dead. They'll be like in the soil, and so like, why are you scared of this entity that's gonna die in the next like 100 years? And so it's like they can die. Like I mean, I heard Alex Mosey say this on one of the podcasts. Like I watched. He was basically just saying how what is murder? Murder is simply you choosing the time someone dies. And so in a weird way, you can murder anyone you want in your head, but you can't choose the time they die. And so it's like it kind of ruins the point of murder. But it's like what I'm trying to really just point out is basically the person that you're so scared to approach is actually like just they're just fine. They're normal people. They're like you. And go like again, it goes back to the point of you shouldn't be placing people on pedestals because like no one is better than you. It's like you're all equal. And yes, power dynamics do exist. Some people have higher status and like power dynamics, but that doesn't exactly mean that like they're like the highest pedestal people, you know? Another tip is to greet first. You see, most people they're not initiators. You've got this concept of initiator and then follower. So initiator is like the leader. He's the guy that tells people, okay, we're hosting a party. He's like the host. Like that's literally the biggest representation of the initiator. He's just the host, the guy who does all the events. He's the guy that starts. And most people aren't initiators. And so you need to be the initiator yourself, because if you're expecting that person you're looking at to actually come at you and like shake your hand, you'd be remiss because he probably wouldn't. He doesn't give a fuck. And so instead you need to be the initiator that reaches other people and shakes their hand and does all that shit. And so you need to greet first. Whenever you're like planning to go ahead and talk to someone, just greet first. Be the guy that approaches. Like you might tell me, oh yeah, like, but I don't want to be a chaser and I don't want to chase others. It isn't really like that. It's just more so inviting others to think that you're an okay like force, that you're a force that can be reckoned with. Another tip to kind of maintain social like just social friendliness is remembering other people's names. Like I see this a lot where people are like, "Oh, like could you just tell me your name again?" And it's like I can just tell how brain dead that person is, and I can tell the person that's like gotten their name forgotten how sad that person feels. Like in like the like how to influence influence people, he talks about how like a person's name is like the greatest word in like their language or in any language, because to them it's like the greatest thing. It's me, you know, like to them it's like yeah, it's my name. And so forgetting someone's name is basically saying you're unimportant piece of shit that I don't give a fuck about. And so it's like you're basically hurting their ego and their status. And you're telling them they're remiss in their like shit. And of course, like sometimes it does happen, but you need to have some kind of way to protect yourself from such situations by simply just emphasizing more that, okay, I'll try to remember this guy's name, or I'll write it down on a sheet of paper. All the more reason to actually carry one of these notebooks. Let me just show you something. Like, I mean, I like to carry like notebooks like these mini like notepad things. They're called report pads, and you can literally like get one of these for like what, like 20 cents or something. And these are actually wild because like whenever like you've cold approached someone or anything, just place it in your jacket. And it's like you can just pick it out, or like in your like, I don't know, like phone cover or something. Like place 2 emergency papers. And just whenever like you meet someone, just write down their name so you won't forget, or write down whatever note or idea you may receive. It's always like great to have some kind of like inbox system. Also, be mindful. You need to actually really be like mindful. You need to have the ability to just be in the moment right now. Like what is presence? It's just being at the moment right now. It's not thinking about the future or the past. It's just being now. What is happening now? I'm sat here doing my work. What is happening now? Like my mother is cooking. Like it's like what is happening now is what is happening now. When you're sat with your friends, you don't think about what you're gonna do after you're gonna leave. You sit down with your friends, you're present in the moment, you're asking questions, you're like laughing off. And so it's like you need to be enjoying the moment right now. You need to be present in the moment right now, and that's called mindfulness. And the final tip is just simply being more confident. You see, people think that confidence is something that's like just like gets transcended upon you, and you're just given like this thing at birth. No, it's not exactly like that. You can acquire confidence like anything. And confidence is one of those things that if you just act confident, you all of a sudden are. Like it's like when you act happy, when you smile, you actually become like happy. The same thing with being confident. If you act confident, you act like all cool, you're actually all cool. You're actually like being all cool, and so you are confident in a sense. So we're done with the interior things. Definitely need to be working on these. They're the more so difficult part. But for the exterior, it's much easier. It just takes some like mental like strength and limiting beliefs. So let's just get into the exterior part of this guide. So the first thing is just body language. So what is body language? It's just simply how you are perceived by others. So this person who's like looking at you right now, how does he perceive you? Like, how do I perceive you when I'm looking at you? Do I see you like a bitch, just like, like doing this with your phone or whatever? Or you sat there confidently, like just all like just spread out, and you're sitting like a man, and you don't have like your legs crossed? Like, I made a whole fucking morning chat on just body language, but it's like, it's so funny to just see people like with their own fucking autistic, just like they're just like placing their legs crossed, and it's like it's very funny how like people have gotten their like body language fucked up. I made a whole morning chat on that. Like I'll just it'll probably just show up somewhere there, bro. It's like just really like how you feel with your body. It's like, are you really like not willing to just show confidence? Like I'm honestly surprised with this. Like I talked about this in that morning chat, but really like the amount of people that are just fucked with their like body language. They're just like sat like this. They're just like crunched up like a ball, and they're just sat like this. It's honestly like just ridiculous. And I mean, really, like body language is the main determiner for whether this person will perceive you as confident or just a bitch, And so how do we improve this? Well, the first tip I'd give you is just actually being comfortable in your own shoes. And how do you do that? Well, there are a couple of key steps I'd give you. First, just actually going to the gym. Like, I found that as soon as I started going to the gym, I just got a confidence boost. Like immediately, like everyone was just like giving me like, oh yeah, like you're the weightlifter, and like they're like bodybuilder and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh wow, like this is so amazing. And I just started like seeing myself getting bigger and bigger. And the whole like bodybuilding thing, it's a weird thing to link to social and like interaction. But in a weird way, me being a bodybuilder helped me be a socializer. And so definitely get into the gym. I made like a whole fucking like full guide on just how to build an aesthetic body. Like I'll probably just place it somewhere in the description. But just like a whole like full guide on how do you actually like just build an aesthetic body, the body you're so proud of. And then the next thing is just simply taking risks in social interactions. There is no better way. Like the best way you can improve anything is simply by doing the work. And what's the work for social interaction? It's just doing social interaction. Just practice it. Like just actually go to the field. Like go to your like we'll talk about practice fields in just a bit. But just go to your field and just actually like practice social interaction. And you'll get much better at this like with time and with practice. But of course you have to be willing to take the risk. You have to be willing to just be like, yeah, fuck this. I'm just gonna like cold approach random people. I don't care. I think it's really just, it comes back to the idea that, yeah, people, like all the people around you, they will die by the next 100 like years. And none of those people will be remembered. And you probably won't like be remembered. And so what's the point? Like if the act that you will do right now, like whatever like fear you may have, will it be remembered the next 100 years? Will it be mentioned the next 100 years? It probably won't. And so why would you just be so scared to commit yourself to doing something? It's just all about risk taking, really. And again, of course, just show confidence. Like you have to be willing to just show confidence to build it. Because like, how do you be more happy? Well, you fix your mental health, you do all those things, and then you act like it. You act like you're happy, you become happy. That's the exact same thing with confidence. You act that you're confident and you become confident. And you, more than anything, build the stack of proof to yourself that yes, I am confident. Why? Because I've got this amazing physique that I love myself. And again, definitely check that morning chat out. Like I talk a lot about like just tips on body language and shit, and just like how do you sit down like properly, and just going into really autistic stuff. I'll just leave it to that morning chat. And honestly, like I might just do a full guide in the near future about like body language, fully just explaining autistic steps in the journey, just because I really learned a lot about this. Like I autistically like analyzed, if your leg moves a bit to the right, what does that mean? Like if feet are pointing towards you, what does that mean? So like, I probably should just make a full guide on this, honestly. So now for the good part. Social anxiety. The number one problem for social interaction. The thing that people are just so over the place for, you know? So let's just build the mindset right off. I'll just give you some key mindsets for specifically social anxiety itself that I think have really helped me out. So the first one is just simply, you're anxious because you're scared. Like, you're scared of something and that's why you're anxious. Like, the reason you're socially anxious is because you're scared to be laughed at, because in a weird way, like that happened to you like 20 years ago, like when you were a child or something. It's very weird. Like your brain will always save these mini memories of like it makes you fear having to get another situation, and it makes you not want to do something that is like gonna give you like that risk of having something to get repeated. And so you fear social interaction because when you were a little child, your father like told you to like just walk and you fell on your face, and all the people in the room started laughing at you, and you don't want that to get repeated again. And so like, it's just so weird and autistic. And yet it's like, when you really like just go down that deep and realize, oh wait, I fear that I'll fall on my face and all like just people will laugh at me. It's like, it isn't such worthwhile. And even if all people laugh at you, will that be remembered in 100 years? It probably won't. Like if like that guy's friend group starts like talking about you and stuff, will that be remembered in 100 years? No. Like it just, you shouldn't be given a fuck about short-term pain. And also, we were just conditioned to be pussies. Let's just all be honest. Like, we were conditioned to just sit down there in school, like raise our hands if we want to go to the bathroom, raise our hands if we want to drink water, raise our hands if we want to take a shit. It's like, bro, we've been conditioned to be pussies. And so no wonder, really, like, no wonder we're like such idiots and we don't know how to fucking socially interact with anyone. Because we've literally been conditioned to raise our hands if we want to drink water. Like, bro, like, what the fuck? It's like, of course. And so really, like, our world is fucked up. Like, with all these Disney movies telling you, you should be the good guy, and you should always provide, and you should always be like like, you shouldn't have goals, you should only fucking care for the woman and stuff like that. It's like, it's just like, it's all just bullshit upon bullshit upon bullshit. And so no wonder, it's like, no wonder, like, we're such pussies. We can't be taking the blame, but we can only be, like, taking responsibility and changing, like, our circumstance. And final mindset is really just, you will fuck up. Of course you'll fuck up. You haven't ever like gone in social interaction. You haven't done nothing. You've like just been in your comfort zone playing video games. And so of course you'll fuck up. Of course you'll like stutter with that word and you'll feel really bad. Of course, like, I mean, let me just tell you this story, bro. So I remember I went to the pharmacy a couple of days ago, and I just wanted to get some, like basically just like some medicine because I'm pretty sick, right? And basically, I went to the pharmacy. I just opened the fucking door and I went in and I told him like I just want like that medicine, so I'll get that shit like out like from my throat soreness. He gave me the medicine, and then he basically told me like, so I mean it's like it's in Arabic shit. It's like basically like he told me like get well soon, and then I responded with a different phrase, so like like phrases, like if he says this, you say that. If he says this, you say that. That type of bullshit. I basically responded with another phrase and like another response to like a different phrase. And I was just like very like I was just basically like brain dead. I went to sleep. I was like sleep deprived, and I was like yeah. And in a weird way, when I like went out, I didn't give a fuck because like yeah, like you will stutter, you will fail, even when you're like the master of social anxiety. Like when you've like overcame social anxiety, you're the master of social skills. Even if you're a socializer, you'll still fuck up, and that's completely fine. Like I remember, I literally laughed my ass off when I went back home because it was just funny shit. Like that was a couple of days ago, but it's like like when you reach such a level when you failed so much, you don't give a fuck. It's like I failed a couple of days ago. I couldn't even fucking respond to a pharmacist. It's like yeah, so what? And so it's like you need to have the I don't give a fuck mindset and just keep going. And so what are the implementations? Well, you've got to fucking risk it. We've been talking about risking it and just like do it and just like oh yeah, go out. But through all that like wording, that won't ever benefit you if you don't actually do it. And so the whole point is that I've been telling you do this, do this, do this. It's about time you actually fucking do it. And so it's like just fucking risk it. Go outside, do shit, talk to strangers. It's like just literally take a walk right now and have a goal in your head that you will talk to one stranger. Just one stranger. Just go out and just talk to someone. That's it. It's like you're walking and you see someone who is also walking. Just go up to them and be like, "Oh yeah, like hello, how are you?" Like, "Oh, you're walking? Like, do you do this frequently?" "Oh yeah, like that's very nice. I just kind of want to like just like give you the piece because it's like like the stuff, and it's like not many people do this and stuff. Like literally, it's just like you can do such fucking creative shit. I literally made up this random scenario of meeting a random person who's walking the street and just telling them, "Oh yeah, like do you do this every single day?" It's like you can like have infinite scenarios of this and multiple different conversations you can have. And like I don't know, this may be just because I'm really good at social interaction, but you will fail and that's completely fine. And so the whole point is that you try and you place yourself in that position. And really it's just about repetitions, doing it constantly again and again and again, failing and succeeding and failing and then succeeding and then doing that all over again. And that's what will make you much more likely to succeed. Like I mean, I was just watching that the other day, like just a podcast, and Huberman was talking about how your brain doesn't really learn from failure for the sake of just, okay, because it needs to fail to learn. It's not really like that. It's specifically that your brain needs to like, for every shot that you like shoot, for like every target thing that you throw, your brain kind of adjusts for every little movement. So like the first time you threw it and it didn't even hit like anywhere on the target. The second time you threw it and it hit somewhere closer. And the third time you threw it, like it's always just, why is that happening? Why is it getting closer? Because your brain is fixing like the direction, is placing it directly on where you want it to be. And so it's like it's very autistic shit, but that's how you learn. You learn by doing mistakes over and over again until you can't make mistakes because you've basically like learned the formula. So this one's actually a very autistic one. It's looks maxing. You see, I mean, I did this quite a while ago, so let me just tell you my story on this. So it was basically around 2021, I'd say maybe 2022, maybe something like that. And I basically started looks maxing. I started just like getting into the habit of like, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna like style myself and I'm gonna like look all handsome and stuff like that. I'm gonna like develop a skincare routine and stuff like that. And I really got into looks maxing. And in a weird way, when I looks maxed, I was a fat ass and I lost a whole bunch of weight. I started doing like skincare and stuff like that. I cut my hair and like did some fucking styles with that shit. And in a weird way, people around me started treating me a whole lot differently. Like my classmates started to respect me. Like all the guys in the bathroom, they tell me, "Oh wow, how'd you lose so much weight? Oh man, like you're so fucking awesome." It's like that. And I remember literally, this is a funny situation. You will laugh your ass off on this. So I remember I was like walking with my friend, and we were just like leaving, like we were just leaving school, right? I remember out of nowhere, this random girl, she just takes my hand and she just like walks me over and like she basically just takes me to like this other group of girls, and basically like this group of girls had like one girl that I already knew, and she was like kind of like a friend of mine, right? And in a weird way, like my best friend was like standing there. What the fuck's going on? He literally like he just started fucking. He held his phone. He just started recording random shit. And I remember like literally out of nowhere, like this girl takes me and it's like she's like my best friend basically asked her girls for me, and they just came and took me. It's like it's fucking insane. Like you wouldn't even believe such a story like this, but it is just these types of stories that are really like open your mind up. Looks maxing literally made that shit happen. It's because I just looks maxed. And so this is a key fundamental. People will always like you more, and they'll always like respect you more when you just look better. And so why not look better? And so here are some key tips to just looks max. So the first tip's just get lean. Like just actually get lean. Like I told you about this before, like the like aesthetic body roadmap video. But basically like this is like you cutting down. Now of course in that video I do mention you need to bulk up first and then cut. But when your only goal is just to looks max, in a weird way, like actually just cutting down would be a better option. Now, of course, like you need to actually identify your own goals, and I do say that in the mindset section of that video. That you need to identify what do you actually want. Do you want a bulky Kevin Levrone physique, or do you want a more so just fits like type of like Playboy, TikTok boy like type of shit? And so choose your own thing, just kind of stick to that. But I found for looks maxing, it's always better to be lean than to be bulky. So for the second tip, it's about mewing. So if you've seen all these random looks maxing videos, you would know that basically there's this habit of mewing where you basically place your tongue on the roof of your mouth and you basically just like focus on keeping it there, like just clenching your teeth, placing your tongue like on the top of like the roof of your mouth. It's just nasal breathing. And back then I didn't know about the health risks of like, mouth breathing. I just did it for the sake of looks maxing. And it's like, in a weird way, that actually helped me looks max and also improved my health, which meant that also reflects to my looks maxing. And so it's like, it's a win-win. How do you like basically do that? Just don't mouth breathe. Like just don't breathe from your mouth, breathe from your nose. Like, I made a whole morning chat on this. I won't even fucking just go into that. Just watch that morning chat. It'll help you out a lot. I'll probably like place it in the description because like, they just, YouTube sets a limit for like the amount of videos you can like place up there. Like in the aesthetic body video, I just want to fucking place more videos. It's like, fuck, I didn't know that shit. For the third tip, it's just about not being smelly. Now, of course, back then I used to just like put a whole bunch of perfume. Issue with perfume is it's actually estrogenic. It basically like it fucks up your hormones. So just don't use perfume for the sake of it. Like if you have to use perfume, only use it occasionally. Like when you're going to like the fucking biggest dinner in your life. Till then, just don't fucking use it. And it's like, make sure you just don't fucking use perfume. Honestly, it's like it's not exactly the best thing you would be using, but just take usual showers. Don't be stinky. Like buy some good shampoo that actually isn't estrogenic. You can like watch my testosterone optimization full guide, but I'll just give you the basics. Just avoid like things in your like shampoo. Just avoid phthalates, parabens, and like sulfates. Like just basically like these types of bullshit. Just parabens, phthalates, and then sulfates. Just avoid these and you'll be good. Also, you need to actually find your style. You see, most people they just go off and they're like trying to like basically copy any random style, but they don't really have their own style. I think like honestly, don't like make this a status like just like chasing status like type of game. Actually choose what you authentically like. So I mean like for me, I really like suits. Issue is you can't really wear suits 24/7. And so like what is my second option? I really like sporty clothes. Okay, then I'll just wear sporty clothes. It's like just kind of place in yourself these kind of like options, like your style, and find really what you want. If you don't know like what style you like, just try different shit honestly, or just look at different styles on the internet and choose your own. Now finally for face maxing. So face maxing is specifically the looks maxing for the face. This is kind of like it places out in different sections because it has its own different shit. But basically like what you would do is really just skincare, like you just take care of your skin. You would also have a good diet. Try avoid sugars as much as possible. You can eat carbs, just avoid like just too much sugar carb like type of shit. Just avoid simple carbs. You can eat complex carbs and have a good diet. Like don't eat like some like random bullshit. Don't eat like sugary vegetables or sugary like fruits and whatever. Just don't eat that bullshit. And more than anything, just find your constraint. What is your constraint in your look? Like you can like You can join communities of like looks maxing, and you'll just like tell them, oh yeah, like just rate my face, guys, and just like take like 2 pictures. Like they'll rate that for you. It's like it's very funny shit. Just you can do that if you want. But just find the constraint more than anything. Like actually find what constraint you have in your face. Like is it like they have too much of a big nose? Okay, like what hairstyle would help you hide your nose? You know, it's like just so weird to just experiment around with that stuff. And honestly, I might make a full guide on just like looks maxing just because I'm really experienced in that stuff. I definitely probably should be making that stuff. So now for school. I kind of just want to talk about school for just a bit. You see, school, it's a double-edged sword. You see, it's a place you have a lot of social interaction in. Like you basically have a lot of opportunities to talk to a lot of different people, probably like similar in age and stuff like that. Issue is, they're brain dead. Most of them, they can't exactly think. They're mentally disabled, and they probably aren't so based. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, but in a sense, I kind of like to think of it as one of the practice ranges. So remember, like basically, I was just talking about this. Practice ranges, that you would just go to your practice range and you would just start practicing like social interaction. Well, you can use school as one of your practice ranges. So if you're going to school, you can basically just go to school and use that as your practice range. So you, like a new teacher shows up, you take that as an opportunity to greet the teacher. A new student shows up, or a whole bunch of new students show up, you just actually like talk to those students. You use that as an opportunity to socialize and to use these things that you're learning. And of course, like, I mean, you could tell me that, oh yeah, like, I mean, they're brain dead, but I mean, I can make some friends, right? And I mean, sure, you can make some friends. Like, being a friend is okay, because I mean, you're probably like, your perception of the word friend is just, okay, someone I talk to, and yeah, you should absolutely like make that. Your perception of best friend is your perception of the word, like normal word of friend, which is just simply a person you're close to and you're like ready to be close to. And basically, like that, like really for me, I mean, I have a lot of friends in school, but I have one best friend, and that's really the only person that I actually talk to so much. Most of those guys are just greet and say hello, and I'm like, I'm like I'm just normal with them, but they aren't exactly deep relationships. They're on the type of relationships that I would be talking like and arguing with and really trying to just like care for them. Now for the biggest debate that people will always just keep arguing over on and on and on: should you date? You see, in school, you probably shouldn't be, but if you genuinely find someone who represents your ideals and your morals and you can genuinely vibe with, then it's fine. But you really have to be clear on exactly what you want. Don't go with just, you know, anything. Don't just be like, okay, like this person's good, so I'll go with them. Specifically, like I would be journaling this if I were you, but I would literally write down the key features of the person that I would be accepting, and like the specific like things that they have to have in order to actually like cross my test of, okay, like, do I want this person or not? And I mean, I'm the type of guy that's really like rigid with this. I'm not gonna go easy on nothing. Like, I want to make sure that I want to be getting the right person, and I'm not going to be choosing anything under my own ideals. And so really, like, the answer is just, if you find a good one, sure. If you find one on your ideals and what you like, sure. But if you don't, then simply like just don't seek that. And more than anything, yeah, like just don't seek it. Don't go out there and try and search for that, because in school you just simply, chances are you won't be able to find no one like that, because in school they're just all brain dead. So now for social media. I mean, for social media, it's bad to be on it, but it's good to be on it. So what do I exactly mean? You see, it's good to be on social media as a creator, but it's bad to be on social media as a consumer. If you're just sat on your Instagram and you're just consuming content, that isn't good. If you're uploading to your Instagram 5 minutes a day, that's fine, because you're creating. Creating on platforms on social media, that's amazing. However, consuming, that's the bad shit. And I mean, I've got to just talk about this. I talk about this over and over and over in like most of the business videos, but social media is literally like the most used like resource we have today. The number one thing that's used today is the internet. And so you will always find a place to build your business around social media. You are you. You have no competition. You are authentic. You can go into the marketplace and be you, and you'll have no competition, and you can succeed. That's exactly what I'm doing. Look at the biggest names. Look at the biggest, like, new rich right now. Look at Hamza Ahmed. Look at Iman Gaji. Look at Andrew Tate. All these guys. They'll tell you, oh yeah, like agencies and whatever. They'll tell you copywriting and whatever. All of them, what do all of them do? They're on social media. They're posting social media content. And that's why they're actually successful. Because they're doing, like, this is key business model. And so no matter what you're doing, social media will easily support that thing. And truthfully, it is just the best business model, no matter what you can tell me. And how does this support your socializer like lifestyle? Well, it first provides a whole business, like a whole like side fucking thing for you, because it's basically like it's gotten rid of the business objections and shit. But also just gives you this status that all the other people around you have literally seen your face on screen. Like, it is actually really weird, you know? I'll tell you this story. So before I started my YouTube, I was just a normal dude in school. I was a popular kid and stuff like that. As soon as I started uploading to YouTube and people started to see my videos like that are in my school, immediately all those guys were like, oh wow, like this guy's so awesome and stuff like that. Oh yeah, he has, like, they thought it was like a podcast. They're like, he has a podcast. It's like they were just like overhyping that shit. And it's like, it was very weird. I mean, I was like, oh wow, like all I did was just upload some videos on the internet. And it's like, all of a sudden these guys are all over me. And it built me such a high status. Like when I'm walking in the alleys these days, people are like, they're scared to talk to me. You know, it's like, it's insane. And it built me such a good status, such a good socializer figure for other people around me. And really on social media, it's about talking about shit you like. It's not about talking some random, like, just, oh yeah, like the top 7 ways to make money online or whatever. Don't make random bullshit. Look at me. What am I doing? I'm making whatever the fuck I want to be doing. Like, it's like, what do you like? You just do that. Talk about shit that you like, the shit that sticks, the shit that you genuinely like and that's going on in your life. And just do whatever the fuck you want on social media. And more than anything, just be you. Don't try and, like, be anyone else. Just be you, be authentic, and just be willing to show your true ideals and morals. And I mean, going into business as a whole, any social media platform you will have will support whatever business you may have, and especially YouTube. At least in my opinion, I think YouTube is the best social media to be building anything on. And really, I mean, like, look at me, look at Andrew Tate when he first started out, he was posting on YouTube. Look at Iman Gaji, he's posting on YouTube. All those guys are posting on YouTube. So it's really like, whatever business you may think to start later on in the future, whether you're gonna stick to this and just scale it, or you're gonna choose to build another business, this will supplement all those businesses. Because, you know, like, what about marketing and stuff like that? And people will always tell you that stuff. This is the marketing taken, like, care of. You don't need to think about marketing or like sending cold emails or whatever, like this random bullshit. You've got your own audience, people around the world who love you for you. And so you get like-minded people to walk the journey with you. Just you walking the journey. I mean, look at like the banner on my YouTube. It says lifelong student, sharer of wisdom along the way. That's exactly what I am. I'm a lifelong student. I'm learning shit and I'm teaching it here. I'm teaching this stuff that I'm learning on the way, and I'm a sharer of my wisdom along the way as I'm walking my journey. And that's the biggest business model right there. And strangely enough, this can make you a fuck ton of money, which is, I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I won't spoil all this shit. Definitely go and check the, like, entrepreneurship lecture. I'll probably leave it in the description. Just check that lecture out. I basically explain entrepreneurship for complete beginners. Definitely something you probably need to just be going into and checking it out. I mean, finally, gym. Gym is the biggest hack to be social. I mean, it improves your confidence more than anything. It basically makes you, like, it gives you exposure to the world around you. You can basically have a whole bunch of opportunities for social interaction. You have better status, you have more power because you're bigger and stuff like that. You have a better diet. I mean, I think really just the biggest benefit about the gym is just the fact that it provides a practice range for you. Just like school was a practice range for you, gym is also a practice range for you. So in the gym, you'll find a whole bunch of other people that are right there. Some people are very similar to you, others are completely different. You know, I'll tell you this story. One time, I had a leg day, right? And I basically went to the gym, right? Just usual shit. And so, my final exercise, I finished with quad extensions, like just leg extensions, basically. And I basically wanted to go to the specific type of machine. So there were like 2 machines in the gym. One yellow one that you load the weights on manually, and the other one's just basically like the pin. You just basically place the pin and you do that. I don't like the pin one because it's elevated way too much and it doesn't really give me the good, like, peak. And so what I do instead is I actually go The other one, I just load in the weights manually. And I went there and I wanted to load up. Usually it's actually quite empty. This time I found an old man there. And I just, like, when I found him, anyone who would have, like, been my age, they would have feared talking to that guy. They would have been like, oh yeah, like, what the fuck is this? I talked to him just fine. I had a good conversation with the guy. And he was an awesome dude. Like, anyone who saw that guy would have been like, oh yeah, like, this is an old man. He's in the gym. Why is he in the gym? It's like he's an old man, a random old dude who just wants to be healthy. And he's in the gym. Exactly like you. You're young. He's old. It's literally people. I mean, the us versus them dynamic, bro. Like, this is literally another example of how the us versus them dynamic can lead you astray. It can lead you in big problems, and it can also give you a new friend. And so it's like, choose whatever the fuck you want, mate. And so I mean, you can use the gym as another practice range. That's the main point here. Just really just see, like, the world, when you go out into the world, see that as an opportunity to interact with more human beings, and see that as something that opens your heart up to that stuff. Because when you're giving and you're just wanting to give for the sake of giving, that's what truly makes you such a desirable person to be around. You know, it's also insane to me how people just seem to not care about this shit. It's like, I mean, people just don't care about this shit. They're like, oh yeah, like, it's better to be alone and stuff like that. It's like, sure, alone time's amazing. I'm certainly alone when I'm recording this. I'm not, like, sat around with my family. But I think people don't really, like, give social interaction the genuine value that it actually does give. They don't give it the weight that it deserves. And I think it's just, people are like, I mean, they just don't give a fuck. They're like, they think that independence is just you saying, I don't want other human beings and I don't care about them. It's like, no, you do. It's like everyone does. That's your human nature. That's your normal thing. You're not supposed to be altering that. And it's like, same thing for everything, really. Everyone's just trying to reject their own impulses when, just accept it, man. Like, it's just you. That's who you are, and that's the lovely shit. And it's like, people just don't care about this shit, and it truly saddens me, really, just seeing people who don't care about this. And I mean, we should be caring for this. We should just be going out and just doing this shit. We should be, like, going out on walks and stalking strangers. We should be building new friendships. We should be seeking out better fucking lives. And here we are playing, like, 3 hours of video games. Here we are just, like, fucking playing around, and it's like, no wonder people are just so depressed and anxious, because one of the pillars, I mean, all the pillars of mental health are basically just shattered to shit. And so no wonder, really. I kind of just want to talk about my coaching really quick. So if you've seen my recent full guides, you would know that I'm basically making free coaching calls just for this month, really, March. I mean, this is, like, it's basically ending in a week. I mean, less than a week, really, probably a couple of days. So, just claim your free coaching call before the offer ends. Definitely something that you would be using quite wisely. Basically, I'll just sit down with you for 1 hour, and me and you will discuss whatever problem you're facing. It's like, it is insane. Like, if you're facing social anxiety and you're really having some, like, tough shit, I'll help you with that. Like, me and you, imagine this, right? Me and you will literally sit down for a call for free, and we'll discuss whatever problem you have in your life right now that you want, that you choose, and I help you with that. That is insane. And so if you want to claim your free coaching call, just go to my Instagram. Link in the description. Just basically go to my Instagram, click on there, go and message me, like, private DM, just send me, like, there's, like, a button. If you don't know this, there's a button on my account that says message. You press that, you send me, claim for the free one-to-one coaching call. I'll help you with whatever problem you're facing. We'll discuss that from on. But in any case, that's kind of what I want to go through. I mean, definitely an amazing full guide. Full guide that truly, I mean, it's insane, the value in this video. It's insane. Like, I mean, there are so much shit in this video that I just didn't want to share. But I did, because I knew that this video it'll benefit way too much people that I just cannot not make this video. And so I hope that you'll benefit from this. I hope that more than anything, you'll take action on this, that you'll actually start fucking, like, literally scheduling walks just to fucking go talk to strangers. And more than anything, I think that if you commit to the work, you will be getting the results.